we live in an era of mapping the expanding cosmos and decoding the genetics of dividing cells. Because we can describe these physical processes, a popular assumption has taken hold. We no longer need God. The logic suggests that if physics, biology, and chemistry can account for the world around us, institutions that made modern scientific inquiry possible, the first university systems, early astronomical observatories, and international scientific academies. This investment stems from a specific conviction. Since the same God is the source of both human reason and physical reality, truth cannot contradict truth. True science and theology must arrive at a harmony. This modern objection overlooks the specific boundaries of the scientific method, assuming it can answer questions that fall entirely outside its scope of measurement. Science is the master of the how. It maps out mechanisms, describing how a star forms from cosmic dust or how gravity curves the geometry of spacetime. One of the best examples of this comes from a historical irony. The Big Bang Theory, the model of modern cosmology, was first proposed by a Catholic priest, Georges Lemaitre. Lemaitre hypothesized that the universe is expanding. By tracing that expansion backward, he calculated that all matter emerged from a single, hot, dense point he called the primeval atom. This map shows the cosmic microwave background radiation. These temperature fluctuations, discovered decades later, provided the evidence that confirmed Lemaitre's model of a cosmos with a definitive beginning. Physics can trace the chain of events back to an origin point, but it lacks the tools to explain what caused that initial state to exist in the first place. That is a threshold science cannot cross. This brings us to a metaphysical question. Physics describes the expansion of space, but it cannot explain why there is a universe available to expand, rather than absolute nothingness. The primary counter-argument is scientism, the philosophical claim that only what we measure in a lab is real. But you cannot run a lab experiment to prove logic, morality, beauty, or the scientific method. Because it cannot be measured, scientism collapses under its own weight. The Catholic tradition relies on the concept of logos, the understanding that the universe is inherently rational. This is why abstract mathematics maps onto physical reality with such precision. If the universe were unpredictable chaos, the scientific method would break down. Science operates because it relies on a deep order that it cannot independently measure. To separate these two domains of knowledge, imagine conducting a scientific analysis on a page from Shakespeare's Hamlet. A chemist can describe the ink's composition and map the exact capillary action of the liquids absorbing into the paper fibers. But no amount of chemical analysis will ever tell you why Shakespeare wrote the play. Mechanism is not meaning. Process is not purpose. A complete understanding of reality requires both. Pope John Paul II addressed this perceived tension by mapping how these two fields interact. He proposed that faith and reason are like two wings on which the human spirit rises to the contemplation of truth. Science is one wing, and reasoned theology is the other. We need both to reach the full picture. Science has not disproved God. Rather, science explains the mechanisms of the universe, while God explains why there is a universe to study at all.